Good afternoon, and thank you. We're here this afternoon for a very, very specific purpose. And at this time of year, especially on this day and in this assembly, it's a very reflective moment. And I want you, students, to think about your experience, both as a student and a resident of Westboro. But a lot of this is incredibly serious just in terms of what it means to be an American. These assemblies, just like this one, are happening in every single school in America over the next couple of days. This assembly will literally form a connection between you and all of the other 7th and 8th graders in our nation. We are a very, very diverse group in this room right now. All sorts of cultures, all sorts of countries, just as our nation is a very, very diverse group. What I'm going to ask you to think about over the next 35 to 45 minutes are two things. Think about gratitude for the many freedoms that we enjoy, which is a tough sell for 12 and 13-year-olds right now, but for the adults in the room, it's a good thing, and for everybody in the room, it's a very, very important thing to reflect on in terms of being thankful for the freedoms that we enjoy on a day-to-day basis. All across the world, there are huge hosts of 12 and 13 and 14-year-olds who don't have the opportunity to go to school, who don't have the opportunity to play organized sports for their school, or be in the band, or chorus, or orchestra for their school. These are the things that we need to be incredibly grateful for, as well as the freedoms of assembly, the freedoms of free speech, all of the work that you guys have been doing in 8th grade, learning about civics over the course of the year. One of the overarching themes of this assembly and of being grateful for our freedoms is that the freedom comes at a cost. And that is the overarching theme of our Memorial Day assembly. On Memorial Day, we are memorializing those and recognizing those and remembering those who allowed us to have and enjoy, continue to enjoy, the many freedoms that we have, and that we're asking you to be respectful of and to remember and be grateful for. So this is perhaps my favorite assembly of the year, perhaps my favorite gathering of the year, because we get to celebrate a lot of the successes of our students, and we have literally half of our school performing for our other half of the school, and we have some really celebrated guest speakers today. So with that, I'll turn it over to Mr. Powers. Mr. Powers.
All right, thank you. This is, as Ms. Foley so eloquently stated, this is our 2024 Gibbons Middle School Memorial Day Assembly. It's a big title for something that's been going on for quite some time. And I think it is something that people at the school, people who've been here a while, really do enjoy. For the students who are here, you're here for a couple of years and then you kind of move on. For the rest of us, this kind of is a constant that occurs every time at this time of the year. So it is something that kind of marks a certain passing of time. All right, so let me start. Today's assembly has many purposes. Our Memorial Day assembly is first and foremost a respectful recognition of the Americans who have fought for our country and for the freedoms that we enjoy every day. Our Memorial Day assembly also gives us the chance to gather together and enjoy the excellent performances of our musical groups here at the middle school. And lastly, and I won't say not most importantly, but lastly, our Memorial Day Assembly also signifies that another year is almost over. Along with that acknowledgement comes all the mixed feelings that come with another school year almost done. Today's assembly will feature a variety of selections from our musical groups and student speakers from each of our teams who will perform a number of readings reflecting the meaning of Memorial Day. To start us off, please welcome the Gibbons Middle School Orchestra under the direction of Ms. Kristen Chartier, who will perform our national anthem, the Star-Spangled Banner. It will be introduced by Neil Camagone of the Green Team. Sorry, Neil.
The lyrics to the Star-Spangled Banner were written by Francis Scott Key as he watched the British bomb Fort McHenry during the War of 1812. As he observed the bombardment and noticed that the American flag still flew over the fort, he was inspired to write the lines, "Oh, say can you see, by the dawn's early light." During the War of 1812, as during other conflicts in our nation's history, American citizens have stepped up and sacrificed their lives to protect the rights that we have today. This is the essence of Memorial Day. At this time, please stand for our national anthem.
Thank you. Thank you. On each one of the 180 school days, we start by reciting our Pledge of Allegiance. The pledge is a promise by all of us to work towards the principles that are the foundation of our country, such as liberty and justice for all. It is an effort to recognize who we are and what we strive to be. Here to explain the origin and meaning of the Pledge of Allegiance is Ben Silvestri of the Maroon Team.
Today, we gather to reflect on a fundamental symbol of our national identity and unity, the Pledge of Allegiance. This pledge, recited by millions of Americans across generations, encapsulates the values and principles that define our nation. The Pledge of Allegiance has a rich history that dates back to the late 19th century. It was first composed in 1892 by Francis Bellamy, a Baptist minister. As part of our national public school celebration of the 400th anniversary of Christopher Columbus's arrival in the Americas, Bellamy's original pledge read, "I pledge allegiance to my flag and the republic for which it stands, one nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all." Bellamy's version was to create a patriotic oath that would instill a sense of national pride and unity among school children. His words were designed to be recited in a rhythmic manner, creating a powerful and unifying experience for those who spoke them. Over the years, the wording of the pledge has undergone several changes. In 1923, the National Flag Conference, promoted by the growing diversity of the American population, changed the words, "my flag," to the flag of the United States. This was made to ensure that recent immigrants would clearly understand that the pledge referred to the American flag. A year later, the wording was further refined to the flag of the United States of America. This version emphasized the unique identity of the nation and the symbol of its flag. The most significant change came in 1954, during the Cold War era. In response to the perceived threat of communism, President Dwight D. Eisenhower encouraged Congress to add the words, "under God," to the pledge. This addition was intended to underscore the United States' spiritual and moral distinction from atheistic communist countries. Thus, the pledge reached its current form. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Each phrase in the pledge carries deep significance. I pledge allegiance is a personal commitment and promise of loyalty. To the flag of the United States of America refers to the symbol of our nation and its values. And to the republic for which it stands highlights our form of government, a republic where power resides with the people. One nation under God signifies the unity of the nation and the belief in a higher moral authority. Indivisible emphasizes that our nation cannot be divided or separated. With liberty and justice for all, reaffirms our commitment to freedom and equality for every citizen. The Pledge of Allegiance is more than just a few words. It is a solemn promise to uphold the principles upon which our nation was founded: liberty, justice, and unity. It serves as a reminder of the responsibilities and privileges of our citizenship. When we recite the pledge, we are expressing our dedication to the American ideal and reaffirming our commitment to the collective good of our society. In schools, government meetings, and public events, the Pledge of Allegiance brings us together, transcending our individual differences and reminding us of our shared identity as Americans. It calls us to honor the sacrifices made by those who fought for our freedoms and to strive towards a more perfect union. As we reflect on the history and meaning of the Pledge of Allegiance, let us remember that its words are a call to action. They challenge us to live up to the highest ideals of our nation and to work towards a future where liberty and justice truly exists for all. Thank you, and may we continue to honor the values embodied in our Pledge of Allegiance. God bless you, and God bless the United States of America.
Thank you, Ben. Please stand while Ms. Stewart leads us in our Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please be seated.
Thank you, Ms. Stewart. The Gibbons Middle School Band will now play American Spirit under the direction of Mr. Craig Robbins. American Spirit will be introduced by Margaret Goldsmith.
Our combined 7th and 8th grade band will be sharing an American patriotic melody entitled American Spirit, arranged for us by one of our directors, Mr. Doyle. The arrangement shares two known patriotic songs, America the Beautiful, with music by Samuel A. Ward and lyrics by Catherine Lee Bates, and the refrain of the Battle Hymn of the Republic, also known as Mine Eyes Have Seen the Glory, or Glory, Glory, Hallelujah, outside the United States. Please enjoy American Spirit.
been part of our country's culture for quite some time. Here to tell you about Memorial Day's history and meaning is Jackson West of the Purple Team. Jackson.
Memorial Day had its roots during the late Civil War, as every American, regardless of race or if they are on the north/south side of the war, would decorate soldiers' graves with flowers. Memorial Day was first established on May 5th of the year 1868, when the Memorial Day Act was issued by a group of Civil War veterans called the Grand Army of the Republic, or GARD for short. This act made Memorial Day more formal throughout the country. In 1883, collecting flowers to make wreaths to put around veterans' graves was made an official part of the holiday. Despite it beginning in the aftermath of the Civil War, Memorial Day did not gain federal holiday status until the 1970s. Over time, it expanded from commemorating fallen Civil War soldiers to honoring all American servicemen and women who have made the ultimate sacrifice in defense of their country. Memorial Day evolved into a solemn occasion, reminding Americans of the profound courage and selflessness displayed by those who laid down their lives to protect this nation's freedom and ideals. On this day, we should show our respect to our fallen veterans, to honor their commitment to the United States. Memorial Day serves to remember the countless fallen soldiers who died fighting to defend America and our freedom. This day is meant to remind us that because of their sacrifice, we are still standing as a nation today. As Memorial Day commences, Americans from all states celebrate the fallen soldiers through ceremonies, parades, and moments of silence. This reminds us of the soldiers who gave their lives to protect America and our ideas, that have crafted this nation into one of the most powerful there ever has been. Memorial Day is supposed to remind us of the selflessness and courage that the fallen soldiers had to defend America.
Thank you, Jackson. The meaning of Memorial Day can be different for many people because of the lens that they view it through. As we saw this year in our wonderful Poetry Slam, poetry allows people to express their feelings in a way that is unique to them. There have been many poems written about the different emotions and feelings associated with Memorial Day. Here to read one such poem called Memorial Day by Michelle Kime is Ella Rust of the Blue Team. Ella?
As we stand here looking at the flags upon these graves, know these flags represent a few of the true American brave. They fought for their country as people have through all of time, except that these soldiers lying here fought for your country and mine. As we all are gathered here to pay them our respect, let's pass this word to others. It's what they would expect. I'm sure that they would do it if it were me or you, to show we did not die in vain, but for the red, white, and blue. Let's pass on to our children and to those who never knew what these soldiers died for. It's the least we could do. Let's not forget their families, great pain they had to bear, losing a son or daughter, father or mother. They need to know we still care. No matter which war was fought, on the day that they died, I stand here looking at these flags filled with American pride. So as the bugler plays out taps with a sweet and eerie sound, pray for these soldiers lying here in this sacred, hallowed ground. Take home with you a sense of pride. You are here, Memorial Day, celebrating the way Americans should on this solemnness of days.
Thank you, Ella. Thank you. Our next musical performance will be by the Gibbons Middle School Chamber Ensemble, directed by Mr. Joseph Silitano. Here to introduce I Hear America Singing is Sophia Waffles, Shreya Gopinath, and Gavin Miranda.
I Hear America Singing is written by African-American composer and conductor Andre J. Thomas. Thomas grew up in Wichita, Kansas, with his two sisters and mother. Thomas's mother cleaned buses for Continental Trailways and sang in church. According to Thomas, his mother's singing initiated his fascination with music.
Thomas served as a professor of music at the College of Music at Florida State University and currently serves as the artistic director for the Tallahassee Community Chorus.
This song quotes the African-American spiritual, Walk Together Children. Please enjoy this energetic depiction of a strong and united America.
Thank you. At the core of Memorial Day is the veteran who has served our country. From as far back as the Revolutionary War through the Civil War, World Wars I and II, the Korean War and Vietnam Wars, as well as more recent conflicts in Afghanistan and Iraq, Americans have fought and died in the service of our country. Here to give the view of a veteran on Memorial Day is Command Sergeant Major retired Anthony Pittman. During his career service of over 20 years, Command Sergeant Major Pittman took part in the Iraq invasion of 2004 and spent 5 deployments in the countries of Iraq, Afghanistan, and the Philippines. His training included the Airborne School, survival, evasion, resistance and escape, and anti-terrorist training. Among his decorations, Command Sergeant Major Pittman has been awarded the Legion of Merit, 2 Bronze Stars, and the Defense Meritorious Medal. Please welcome to our school Command Sergeant Major Pittman, who will speak to us about the meaning of Memorial Day to a veteran.
I'm Tony Pittman, retired Command Sergeant Major out of the U.S. Army, one of the best jobs you could ever have. I'm going to take the next few minutes to tell you about what Memorial Day means to me and give you a little bit of some of my personal experience. So a little bit about me. I grew up here in Massachusetts. I was raised in Canton. I moved to Attleboro, graduated high school from Attleboro. Went right into the Army after high school. I wasn't quite ready for college yet. One of the biggest reasons I joined the Army was all the way back from when I was in the 4th grade. We had an assignment that we had to write letters to soldiers that were deployed in support of the Gulf War. I wrote to an officer that he explained what he was doing over there and why he was there. I could tell through the letters that I received back from him how passionate he was about his job. And it stuck with me through the years that he was doing something that was more important than himself, more important than any one person. He was doing something much bigger than that. And that stuck with me, and it helped me join the military when I did. I planned to just do 3 years when I signed up. I trained really hard for the first couple of years I was in. Halfway through that 3rd year, 9/11 happened. Within 2 days of that happening, I decided I couldn't get out. I wasn't going to walk away from the men and women that I trained so hard with over the past few years, knowing that they were going to go to combat fairly soon after that. Over the next 18 years, I deployed 6 times to combat, and I deployed to 22 other countries for different training exercises and some other missions, training foreign militaries. Every time I left our nation's border, I always went with other soldiers that were just like me, some random person from the country. Didn't matter where we came from, what we did, but we had to trust each other, rely on each other for everything we did. Whether that was sleeping, eating, all of it. We needed each other to survive. We were in some of the craziest environments the world has. One of the things I remember from my first trip in Afghanistan is something called the ramp side ceremony. It's when a soldier's lost, we honor them as we send them back home. The first one I was at was a Special Forces soldier who died in combat operations. We're standing, a couple hundred of us, I think, around the back of a C-130 big plane, and we're going through the memorial ceremony for this guy. And there's a ton of emotion on all of us. We're all still in a combat environment. And I thought of a couple of things. I thought of the letters I wrote to that soldier way back earlier on in my life, and his passion for what he did and the reason why he was there helped give me some peace. The next thing that gave me peace was I thought back to before I joined the military, and when I go to Memorial Day parades or Veterans Day parades, whatever it was, and I remember hearing the crowds clapping. I remember seeing everybody cheering for the soldiers walking down the street. And it inspired me. It gave me the energy to just kind of keep going, knowing that what I was doing was important. And it was, I had the backing of everybody in this country. So it gave me the power to push through and do all the things that were difficult to do at the time. So this Memorial Day, I want everybody to remember that it is a holiday. It's a day to celebrate with your family and friends and all those things, but I want you to think of the soldiers, the men and women that dedicated their lives and sacrificed their lives for our great country. We're not a perfect country, but we are great. I will say that until the day that I die. Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to talk to you for a couple minutes today. I wanted to keep it really short, just like me. Enjoy the holiday. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Command Sergeant Major Tony Pittman. That was great. If Memorial Day is about reflection and remembrance of those who have died in battle, then the Battle of Gettysburg during the American Civil War gave President Abraham Lincoln much to think about. Our nation was involved in a bloody civil war between the North and the South over the issue of slavery. This conflict threatened to permanently tear our nation apart. In 1863, there appeared to be no end in sight to the killing and the dying. At the Battle of Gettysburg in early July of 1863, a three-day battle occurred in Pennsylvania in which the North barely managed to drive back a huge Southern invasion force. Nobody knew then that this battle would be the turning point of the war, only that over 50,000 men had died during 3 days of fierce battle. 6 months later, President Lincoln gave a speech at the opening of a cemetery for all those on both sides who died fighting for their nation. Dhruva Parupalli of the Green Team will now read Lincoln's speech, the Gettysburg Address.
Fourscore and 7 years ago, our fathers brought forth on this continent a new nation, conceived in liberty and dedicated to the proposition that all men are created equal. Now we are engaged in a great civil war, testing whether that nation, or any nation, so conceived and so dedicated, can long endure. We are met on a great battlefield of that war. We have come to dedicate a portion of that field as a final resting place for those who here gave their lives that their nation might live. It is altogether fitting and proper that we should do this. But in a larger sense, we cannot dedicate, we cannot consecrate, we cannot hallow this ground. The brave men, living and dead, who struggle here, have consecrated it far above our poor power to add or detract. The world will little know, no longer remember what we say here, but can never forget what they did here. It is for us, the living, rather to be dedicated here to the unfinished work which they who fought here have thus far so nobly advanced. It is rather for us here to be dedicated to the great task remaining before us, that from these honored dead we take increased devotion to the cause for which they gave their last full measure of devotion. That we here highly resolve that these dead shall not have died in vain, that this nation, under God, shall have a new birth of freedom, and that government of the people, by the people, for the people, shall not perish from the earth.
Thank you. The Gibbons Middle School Chorus, under the direction of Mr. Stilitano, will now perform Lift Every Voice and Sing. Introducing the song is Ian Kataria and Avery McWhirter.
Lift Every Voice and Sing was first publicly performed as a poem as part of a celebration of Abraham Lincoln's birthday by Johnson's brother John. In 1919, the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People, the NAACP, labeled it as the African American National Anthem.
This song has been labeled as the African American National Anthem for its power in voicing a cry of liberation and affirmation for the African American people. The song is a prayer of thanksgiving for faithfulness and freedom, with imaginary evoking of the biblical exodus from slavery to the freedom of the promised land.
Lift
Memorial Day is about the remembrance of those soldiers who have made it possible for us to live in freedom. Members of our military have often either died or faced lifetime challenges because of injuries suffered while defending our country. They have sacrificed so much so that our country may remain united and continue to be a place for people to live in freedom. We will now hear from student speakers from every team, reciting a poem called "The Hill We Climb" by Amanda Gorman. This poem was written about the challenges we face as a country amid forces that seek to divide us. This poem was first read at the inauguration of President Biden in 2021, shortly after the Capitol insurrection on January 6th. Reading the poem will be a representative from each team. They are Trisha Duda of the red team, Ariane Saxena of the orange team, Declan O'Neill of the yellow team, Sri Jayuta Finichelli of the maroon team, Arena Malayan of the purple team, Willow Henry of the blue team, and Julia Bernat of the green team. Folks, please come up.
Music is all done. Music is.
When day comes, we ask ourselves, where can we find light in this never-ending shade? A loss we carry, a sea we must wade. We've braved the belly of the beast. We've learned that quiet isn't always peace. And the norms and notions of what is just isn't always justice. And yet the dawn is ours before we knew it. Somehow we do it. Somehow we weathered and witnessed a nation that isn't broken, but simply unfinished.
We, the successors of a country and a time where a skinny black girl, descended from slaves and raised by a single mother, can dream of becoming president, only to find herself reciting for one. And yes, we are far from polished, far from pristine, but that doesn't mean we are striving to form a union that is perfect. We are striving to forge our union with purpose, to compose a country committed to all cultures, colors, characters, and conditions of man. And so, we lift our gaze, not to what stands between us, but what stands before us. We close the divide because we know to put our future first. We must first put our differences aside. We lay down our arms so we can each reach out our arms to one another. We seek harm to none and harmony for all. Let the globe, if nothing else, say this is true. That even as we grieved, we grew. That even as we hurt, we hoped. That even as we tired, we tried. That we'll forever be tied together, Victoria. Not because we will never again know defeat, but because we will never again know division.
Scripture tells us to envision that everyone shall sit under their own vine and fig tree, and no one shall make them afraid. If we are to live up to our own time, then victory won't lie in the blade, but in the bridges we've made. That is the promise to Glade, the hill we climb, if only we dare. It's because being American is more than a pride we inherit. It's the past we step into and how we repair it. We've seen a force that would shatter our nation rather than share it, would destroy our country if it meant delaying democracy, and this effort very nearly succeeded.
But while democracy can be periodically delayed, it can never be permanently defeated. In this truth, in this faith we trust, for while we have our eyes on the future, history has its eyes on us. This is the era of just redemption. We feared at its inception. We did not feel prepared to be the heirs of such a terrifying hour, but within it we found the power to author a new chapter, to offer hope and laughter to ourselves. So while we once asked, how could we possibly prevail over catastrophe, now we assert, how could catastrophe possibly prevail over us?
We will not march back to what was, but move to what shall be. A country that is bruised but whole, benevolent but bold,
fierce, and free. We will not be turned around or interrupted by intimidation because we know our inaction and inertia will be the inheritance of the next generations of the future. Our blunders become their burdens, but one thing is certain. If we merge mercy with might and might with right, then love becomes our legacy and change our children's birthright. So let us leave behind a country better than the one we were left. Every breath from my bronze-pounded chest, we will raise this wounded world into a wondrous one. We will rise from the golden hills of the west. We will rise from the windswept northeast where our forefathers first realized revolution. We will rise from the lake-rimmed cities of the Midwestern states. We will rise from the sun-baked south. We will rebuild, reconcile, and recover. In every known nook of our nation and every corner called our country, our people, diverse and beautiful, will emerge battered and beautiful. When day comes, we step out of the shade of flame and unafraid. The new dawn balloons as we free it. For there is always light, if only we're brave enough to see it, if only we're brave enough to be it.
Thank you. We are nearing the end of our program today, and with it, the symbolic playing of a musical piece called Taps. Taps is associated with the burial of those who have sacrificed for our nation. Taps will be performed by Meg Patel and Elliot McClung. Introducing Taps will be Cole Petrie. Cole?
Is a bugle call sounded to signal lights out at the end of a military day and during patriotic memorial ceremonies and military funerals conducted by the United States Armed Forces. The official military version is played by a single bugle or trumpet, although other versions of this tune may be played in other contexts. It is also performed often at scout meetings and in camps. The tune is also sometimes known as Butterfield's Lullaby, or by the first line of the lyric, "Day is done." Out of respect for fallen soldiers, please do not applaud following the close of the playing of taps.
So there it is, 2024 Memorial Day Assembly. Memorial Day, as Sergeant Major Pittman said, is a different type of holiday. It's not a celebration like the 4th of July or your birthday, but it's also not a totally solemn occasion because we associate Memorial Day with pleasant activities like cookouts, going to the beach, and being with friends and family. Maybe it is a type of hybrid holiday that allows us to engage in the activities we enjoy, but only with the understanding of the cost that was paid by others so that we may truly enjoy them. Whatever it is, please enjoy this Memorial Day weekend, but also keep in mind the sacrifices that others have made so that we, individually and as a nation, may enjoy the life and freedoms that we have. Thank you.